Now let's start with chapter number 2, audit strategy, plan and program. And in continuation with question number 12, it is okay. MG and a company, a firm of the auditor having a standing of 30 years, is appointed as a statutory auditor of a company engaged in manufacturing of defense equipment due to opening of the defense sector by government to private players in recent time. Many new companies have entered the fray to manufacture sophisticated defense equipment. Considering technical and a complex nature of operation, the auditor recognized that involvement of expert in the audit is required. Auditor recognized that involvement of expert is required. Does the consideration for involvement of expert by auditor falls in the domain of the planning? Yes. Consideration for the involvement of the expert by the auditor falls within the domain of planning. While planning an audit, auditor would have to consider whether the involvement of expert is necessary or not. Planning includes the description of the nature, timing, and extent of the audit procedure. Next question is, CA Karthik is planning for the audit of a company engaged in a manufacturing of the cosmetic. Considering the nature of operation of the company, he had planned to include testing of controls of the company over purchase, sales and inventories. One fine day, he reaches the corporate office and asks for manual and required a proper documentation to ensure the surprise element in testing. He had never shared with management his intention to carry out the above procedure. Is the approach of CA Karthik is proper? The auditor may decide to discuss the elements of planning with the entity's management to facilitate the conduct and management of the audit engagement without compromising the effectiveness of audit. Sharing details of the visit to test control does not compromise the effectiveness of audit, so hence he can do so. Question number 14. CA Mary, while planning audit of a company, feels that she would inquire from in-house legal counsel of the company status of pending litigation matters against the company to identify and assess the risk of material misstatement. Considering above description, are you able to identify the said procedure and where this identified procedure included in planning in accordance with SA 300? So these are planned risk assessment procedure to identify the assessed risk of material misstatement. Such planned risk assessment procedure are included in audit plan in accordance with SA 300, which is a part of a planning. Okay. Next question is, CA Subhendu is a statutory auditor of a social media company. Due to change in information and technology regulation by government, it has become mandatory for such companies to constitute grievance redressal mechanism for users of social media platforms of the company. Failure to comply with the regulations can potentially lead to civil and criminal liabilities against the company. Is the above factor to be considered by the auditor while framing the audit strategy? Yes, obviously. Changes in law and regulation affecting the company is a factor to be considered while establishing the overall audit strategy. Non-compliance of the same can have implication in form of civil and criminal liabilities. Such an important matter concerning changes in law and regulation is to be considered by auditor while establishing an overall audit strategy. Next question. Rohit, undergoing a practical training, is a part of an engagement team conducting audit of a company engaged in manufacturing of the paint.